afternoon, and welcome to Straight Talking with Kelly, where real conversations happen. This is where you will meet some of the most talented, intelligent, and creative people who come to share tips, resources, and knowledge on various topics. My guest comes from a magnitude of industry that includes education, music, television, theater, fashion, culinary arts, hospitality, health and wellness, mental health, community advocates, and so much more. So this is episode number 17. Today I have with me on Straight Talking with Kelly is Vernon Medearis, who is a stage actor. So Vernon will talk about his life as a stage actor, and he will unveil what life is like being in a theater. He'll talk about the trials and tribulations of being an actor. So welcome, Mr. Medearis.
Thank you.
It's good having you. Good seeing you.
And you as well.
So before we get started with him unveiling the trials and tribulations of acting, I actually want to walk down memory lane with him. So, it's really hard for me because I know you as Doug. So I keep getting ready. I want to say Vernon because I know that's your name. Is it okay that I call you Doug?
Yeah, well, the people that know me from home, that's close to me, call me Doug. Vernon is my stage name, my work name. But if I'm walking down the street and somebody yells out Doug, I know that they know me.
Okay. And what is my name? How do you know me?
As Karen.
Okay, so it's like Kelly. It's like, who's Kelly?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. Kelly is definitely kind of like my stage name, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So, Doug, you were actually at our wedding. You sang at our wedding.
Yes, I did.
So that meant that you and my husband had a very long relationship. So how did you guys meet, and how long have you known him?
I've been knowing your husband, Lionel, for over 50 years, I would say. We met in school at Bayview Elementary School, where I met most of my friends that call me Doug. And we lived in the same neighborhood. We hung out every day together. We grew up in the boys' club together. And we hung out when we became adults. And then somewhere down the line, we parted, but we will always be good friends,
And I know periodically you guys would check in with each other over the phone over the years.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always call him on his birthday, even though he never answers.
We'll have to work on that, okay?
Yeah.
So you are a native of San Francisco, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
So give me a little bit about your background, like, where you were born and raised and some of the schools that you attended.
Well, I was born in an old Victorian on Hill Street on a hardwood floor. I still have the splinter to prove it. And then after that, I was taken to Children's Hospital, but I was born in a house.
You were serious?
I'm serious, yeah. Yeah. The first elementary school I went to was Dudley Stone on Haight and Masonic, Haight and Page over that way. I grew up initially in the Haight-Ashbury when it was all Black. We lived right at 532 Ashbury at Haight during the hippie days. Well, before the hippie days. When the hippies came, then, a lot of Black people started moving to Lakeview and Bayview and other various places around the city. So we moved to the Bayview, and that was in the early 60s. And that's when I went to Bayview Elementary School. And I lived there until the 90s, after my mother died, my father died. And then I moved to Berkeley. But now I'm back in the city in the Visitation Valley area.
Okay. So now, tell me a little bit about this acting. How did you get involved in acting?
My very first play was at Bayview Elementary School. I believe I was in the first grade, and we did a play about soap. And my line was, soap, we use it every day. And I did it just like that, and people were clapping and everything, and it made me feel good. And I said, oh, I like this. So from that first play in elementary school, I continued in junior high school, and college, and then professionally.
Okay, so you did have training. So you've had training.
Well, I had some training in college, but I think I was a natural.
Okay. So now tell me this. Have you ever talked yourself out of an audition?
No, I haven't talked myself out of an audition, but it was a play that I was in that I wish that I wouldn't have been in. You know.
Tell me about that. What was that about?
Well, it was the director. She wasn't a director. You know, she didn't know anything about directing, and I had just moved to Berkeley, so I wanted, to find something to do, and I ran into this lady at the Black Repertory Group Theater. I auditioned and I got a part. It was about a grave digger, and I was the grave digger. I had to use an African accent and all that stuff. And she just didn't know anything about directing, and it really frustrated me, you know.
Have you ever thought about quitting acting at all? Was there ever a time that
No,
you wanted to quit? No.
no. It's the love of my life. It's what keeps me going. You know, all my children have been in the theater with me except my youngest daughter.
Okay. And how come she hasn't been there yet?
We didn't live together, so
Oh,
and her mom was,
that's a whole
you
nother
know,
story. We won't even go
yeah,
there.
a whole nother story.
So now, when Forrest Whitaker was playing a schizophrenic in The Last King of Scotland, he said
Hmm.
every night he worked really hard, pushing his head to the point where he started to see things he was imagining. He realized there is a way to screw with your brain, and it took him almost a year to get back to himself. Have you ever dived so deep into a character like that?
Yes, it was This Way Bonzi is Dead, and I had a 15-page monologue, and you know, at first I doubted myself that I could do 15 pages of monologue, but I threw myself into it, and I worked hard, every night, every day, to get these lines down, and I it was a technique that I used with blocking, So if I walk to the door, then I know this is what I'm going to say. If I walk to the window, this is what I'm going to say. So that kind of helped me to learn my lines, and it I rehearsed it for so long that it just took a long time to get it out of my head. you know. I didn't go crazy, but some things you learn it and you learn it and you perform it for so long that it sticks with you.
Now, that's interesting that you talked about learning 15 pages of monologue. Now, I don't know if you know this, but I actually used to act and go out for auditions and things like that. And I took acting lessons with Greg Snigzel and Ann Brepner, and I was with different agencies. And one of the things that I came to the realization was I had a difficult time memorizing my lines sometimes. And I
Hmm.
just got to the point where it's like, you know what? This is not for me. This is not for me. As much as I like acting and that, it really takes a lot to really be able to memorize your lines. So I applaud you for being able to do a 15-page monologue.
Yeah, well, it's repetition. With me, it's repetition, and it's easier for me to learn my lines when we are rehearsing it. I mean, because you can go over your script every day and look at it and look at it and look at it, but until you get into the theater and you add your blocking to it and everything that goes along with it, then it becomes a little easier for me.
Okay, now, so you've played a lot of diverse roles over the years. Which has been your favorite and why?
I think one of them is Joe Turner's Come and Gone. Where I played Lester. I can't even remember the character's name, but it was an August Wilson play. I've done 7 of the 10 of August Wilson plays. That was a really, really heavy role. And it was long ago, and I can't remember exactly how it went, but I know that I got a really, really, really good write-up, from the New Bay View, actually, and from Wanda Sabir, and another play was The Bluest Eye that I did with the Lorraine Hansberry Theatre. Really, really good role. And I've done so many that I can't recall all of them.
Okay. So what has been one of your biggest mistakes you've made as an actor?
One of my biggest mistakes is, I believe, I wouldn't call it a mistake, is, I have a lot of friends that are in Hollywood now at this time, and the times that I had a chance to go, I had children, and I just couldn't see myself leaving my children, and I think for me, I don't think it's a mistake, but, I probably could have been on TV or in the movies if I would have left my children behind, but I just couldn't do that.
So how have you balanced your personal and professional life? How have you made that work out, being a father and pursuing your career?
Well, when my children were young, they all came to the theater with me, and 2 of my daughters, learned how to work the front of the house, the back of the house, and they were actually in plays with me, so that was good. Whatever I did, my children were there with me, and so they learned a little bit of the trade.
Now, what I would like to do now is talk about your upcoming performance in the AfroSolo 26th Annual Juneteenth Festival. You were part of Program 1, Black Men Embracing Our Light, that takes place on June 9th through the 13th. What will you be performing?
I'm performing a piece called My Story. My name is Vernon. And it's about me not knowing who my great-great-grandfather was, but knowing who my father was and my mother and my sister. And it also talks about the time that we spent in jail, or that we were, on drugs. And so I didn't spend a lot of time in jail. I spent like maybe 5 days in jail, but during a period of time, I got caught up in my addiction, so I wasn't performing. And then, so one day I'm sitting in the house watching TV, and I see Gregory Hines on Channel 9, and he's talking about, how it makes him feel to perform. And so I had some drugs and everything, and I just threw the drugs in the toilet, flushed the toilet, went to a friend's house, slept on his floor all night, asked God to help me. Next day I woke up, I got a newspaper and looked for an audition, found one, and I got a part. And I had been out of acting probably for maybe 4 or 5 years, and it was the theater that helped me to recover, to leave all that negative stuff alone and focus on the positive. And that's what I did. And that's basically what it's about, you know, and how I got into it and how I got out of it.
Oh, beautiful. Wow. I'm sure it'll be able to help a whole bunch of people. So this event is free to the public and takes place on demand via AfroSolo's YouTube channel. No RSVP, no RSVPs are required. Is that correct? People don't have to
Yes,
RSVP.
that's correct.
They can just show up. So, and I understand there will be a
Yeah.
live Zoom talkback. Is that where guests can ask questions to you? Is that what that's all about, the Zoom talkback?
I believe so. I don't know because Thomas hasn't mentioned it. I don't know if we're going to be answering questions or it's going to be him. I'm not sure about that yet.
So to the listening audience, I want you to make sure that you visit AfroSolo's YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/AfroSoloTV/featured. So you don't want to miss that. So Vernon, can you tell me 3 people that have inspired you?
Sidney Poitier, Godfrey Cambridge, and Forrest Whitaker.
Oh, wow. So I actually mentioned, okay, those are great actors that you picked. So tell me, why are they inspirational to you?
Well, with Godfrey Cambridge, it was his comedic timing. You know, I love doing comedy. And when I was in school, in junior high school and high school, when we had an assembly and the assembly would end before the bell rang, the audience would, you know, the class would call me up to the stage and I'd improvise. I'd just make up some funny stuff and make people laugh, you know, and I did that all through high school, you know, so I didn't, the bullies didn't mess with me because I'd make them laugh, you know, and so that was my inspiration from Godfrey Cambridge. With Sidney Poitier, it was being a serious actor, you know, serious roles. I mean, he did some comedy, but, you know, his were more dramatic, you know. And Forrest Whitaker is just, to me, he does it all.
He has a range. You know? He really does, yeah.
Yeah, he has a wide range, and I think I have a pretty wide range myself, you know, from comedy to drama to whatever. I even did a show where I was a triple threat. You know, I had learned how to do a little bit of tap dance. So I tap danced, I sang, and I acted, you know.
Yeah, you could sing beautifully. That I do know. You
do
have a beautiful voice. Yeah.
Yeah, I still sing too right now with the San Francisco Recovery Theater with Jeffrey Greer. Okay. Yeah. And I'm also.
What kind of songs are you singing? What type of music?
I like to sing Nat King Cole, you know, and old stuff, you know, and blues and some jazz. None of the hip hop stuff, you know, because we're older, so you know.
You mean you don't rap?
No, only thing I rap is presence.
Okay, I know that's right. Yes, indeed.
You know.
So, what advice would you give to an aspiring actor or actress that are listening to this podcast right now? What would you say to them?
I would say learn how to follow directions. You know, directions from a director is very important. And you shouldn't have to be given a direction twice. You know, if you're serious about your craft, you know, what your director gives you, you take that in and you apply it. You know, if he has to give it to you more than once, then you're not paying attention or something. I don't know. Maybe you should be doing something else, but you know, it wastes time as well, you know, when you have to keep repeating a scene because you're not doing it right.
So, do you have any advice for them in terms of getting training, going to school, or getting out to audition at different plays?
Yeah, audition as much as you can, and if you have an opportunity to get some training, then do that. You know, when I was at City College, I worked under Robert Frierson, who was a Black director, and I don't know, how their department is now, and also Gloria Weinstock. You know, they are very good instructors. They can teach you a lot. So if you can go somewhere where you can learn a lot about acting, upstage, downstage, stage right, and all that stuff, and learn how to do your blocking and to find a technique to help you memorize your lines and do different characters. That's great.
I think that's awesome. Good advice. Now, looking back over your life, what would the 9-year-old Doug say to the grown Doug now?
What we're going to do next.
Okay.
That's what I would say. What are we going to do next?
Now, and that was actually the reason why I laughed, is because my next question is, what's next in the acting future? So,
well, right now I'm working on a play called 20th Century, 3 short plays with the Multi-Ethnic Theater, and we will be filming July 25th, and we will be doing a stage production of it sometime in August at the Phoenix Theater at 414 Mason Street in San Francisco. And I've been with the Multi-Ethnic Theater. Excuse me?
No, what were you going to say?
I said I've been with Multi-Ethnic Theater for about 20 years.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, are there a lot of opportunities for different theater companies?
Yes. Well, a couple of the biggest Black theater company, Lorraine Hansberry, they had almost folded after Stanley and Quentin passed away. But I believe they're up and running now. They used to have their own theater at 620 Sutter, but they lost that because of the Academy of Arts people or whoever, that school that was buying up all the property at one time. Even though they had an indefinite lease for $1 a year, and so they had to sue, and they won a lot of money. But after that, they passed away. So now I believe they are at the Burial Clay Theater at the old Western Addition Culture Center, which is the African American Arts and Culture Center on Webster, along with the African American Shakespeare Company, both of whom I've worked with.
Okay. Yeah, I remember because you were in Cinderella. Wasn't that Cinderella?
Yes. I was in Cinderella the first 3 years. I played the one of the evil stepsisters. Okay. David Skillman and I, and my daughters were in that with me too. We did it at the Palace of Fine Arts.
I remember that. And so, when you think about your expertise being a stage actor and all the many years that you've done it, like over 50 years worth, have you ever thought about teaching it? Teaching young people?
Well, I believe at one time I didn't teach it, but I did children's theater, for a minute. I don't even think I would. I don't want to be a teacher. I'm not teacher material.
Well, at least you're honest about that, because teaching is definitely a skill, and you really have to have that love, like you have for your acting, that you do. So now, do you ever
I can probably. You froze a little bit.
Am I still frozen?
No,
Okay. So what were you going to say?
I can mentor maybe, some actors.
Okay. Well, that's definitely almost the same thing. So,
Hmm.
um, and so when I think back to all of the things that you've done, have you thought about actually auditioning for TV commercials or anything like that? Getting an agent and doing all of that? Or is that so television and stage,
Yeah,
there's two different beasts, right?
yeah, they are. I've thought about it, but I've never pursued it. And um, I have a friend who keeps encouraging me, so that might be my next step.
I actually used to go out for TV commercial auditions and stuff, and it is a grind. You walk into this room and you see all of these people that are also sitting there waiting to be,
Right.
auditioned. Um, and during the time that I was doing it, it was not a lot of Black people doing it, number one, and it wasn't a lot of
Hmm.
us being casted either. And I
Yeah.
just got to the point where it's like, you know what? I can create my own acting world. And so for me, how I get my acting out is doing stuff like this, where I get to interview people. And I've done other things where I put on programs. So I get to create my own world the way I want it to be.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, this is fun for me. So, being able to
Hmm.
highlight people that I feel that need to be highlighted. So I'm just very glad that you took out the time to share your expertise as a stage actor with us. So I'll definitely have to have you come back when you do your thing for in August.
Yes, yes. Um, Most definitely. You know.
So before we leave, do you have anything you'd like to say to the listening audience to Straight Talking with Kelly, where real conversations happen?
Well, if you want to see some snippets of what I do, you can go to YouTube and look up Vernon Medearis. That's VernonMedearis. And you can hear me sing, see some clips of the plays that I was in, and enjoy yourself.
That's going to be so awesome. Well, it is so good seeing you again.
You as well.
Yeah, and I know Lionel, this will be a podcast that I know he'll watch.
Yeah, okay. So he doesn't watch them or what?
Oh, he does, but not all of them, because
Oh, okay.
you're actually number 17.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he doesn't have a chance to look at them
Hmm.
all. He'll get
Yeah,
around to it at some point, but I know
I,
that he'll take out time to look at yours.
yeah. I talked to Willard yesterday, and we were thinking about doing a drive-by to your guys' house.
Oh, that would have been nice. Feel free to do that. Feel free. We're here.
Yeah.
We would like that.
Uh-huh.
And Willard, oh my God, I know he'll enjoy watching this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice to see that you guys have stayed friends over the years like that, through
Yeah.
all the trials and tribulations. I think that is so beautiful. That's what real friendship is about.
Yeah. I mean, me and Lionel, we were really, really close, and I still consider him one of my best friends, for life, you know, just because you don't see each other as much as you used to, friends are forever.
Oh, it doesn't take away that bond by no means. I still keep in touch with my
Right.
girlfriend, Felicia, from junior high school. And we don't
Mm-hmm.
talk or see each other all the time, but when we do, man, we get on that phone and sometimes we can't let go. And I promised that I would
Right.
interview her son, so I will be interviewing her son. So the simple fact that, she has a son and we've grown up like this, I think it's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. I think it's a great
And,
thing.
and and your daughter's been on TV and all that stuff, right?
Oh yeah, Tiffany was an actress,
Mm-hmm.
and so but she did not particularly care to pursue it. By the time she started college, when she was on her way to Fisk, she had interviewed for Dangerous Mind with Michelle Pfeiffer, and she got a
Mm-hmm.
call back. She got a call back, and so she was like, "Mommy, I don't want to do this." And I said, "It's your decision." And so she chose not to do it. And from then on,
Yeah.
that you know, but her daughter, oh my God, my granddaughter. a natural. You're talking about natural, and
Oh,
she
okay.
loves it. She loves it, and she's been in a lot of things. You know, she's did some stuff with Bobby McFerrin, so she's really up and coming, and she can sing. She sings opera. So
Oh,
she's
that's
amazing.
that's fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. So she definitely wants to be an actress and a singer. So she has that bug where, and her dad was also a child performer like Tiffany.
Oh,
And
okay.
he chose not. He used to do TV commercials and modeling and all that kind of stuff. And,
Hmm.
but I think it was good for Tiffany at the time when she was doing it. So, growing up and being exposed to something like that. And, it was her decision. But I know that it helped her in so many other ways. Acting actually can help bring you out in a lot of ways,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I have a friend who stutters, and he's an actor. But once he learns his lines, he doesn't stutter.
Well, you know what the funny
Just like some people who stutter that and sing, they can sing without stuttering.
Yeah, which is amazing. Now, the other thing that I know about actors, because I also do artist development, so I work a lot with performers, helping them with self-confidence, helping them with all kinds of career stuff.
Hmm.
But one of the things that I found about most performers is that they're also very shy.
Yeah,
They're very shy, where they can be on a stage and talk to thousands of people, but put them in a one-on-one situation, they have a difficult time with that. Because I know Tiffany was like that for a long time, and so many other perform. Prince was like that. Michael Jackson
yeah,
was like that. So a lot of
yeah,
people are very shy.
yeah. I was kind of like that myself.
Okay, okay, yeah.
You
So
know.
it's something that I have noticed when I'm working with performers that a lot of them are kind of reserved, and I don't need to be around 2 or 3 people, but put me in front of a crowd of 1,000, and then I can shine.
Right, right. I don't know. It's just something in us that allows that to happen.
Well, that introverted, you know.
Hmm.
It seems like the older that I get, because I'm definitely an extrovert, but the older that I get, I can see. And I've also
Hmm.
had introvert tendencies, and it's because when you're an extrovert and you give so much of yourself to people, when I come in the house, that's it. I don't want phone
Hmm.
calls. I don't want
Yeah,
people. I don't like visitors. I don't like a whole bunch of people around me.
yeah,
Because I need time to decompress.
yeah. Even when I was young, when I was a teenager, I had to have my time alone. I kick it with Lionel and them for 2 or 3 days or whatever, but then you might not see me for a day or two because I just needed that me time. I just didn't,
Yeah, yeah.
want to be
I
bothered with anybody but myself.
I do have to take that out. Now tell me this, do you write, because I know you wrote your the play that you're going to be doing for AfroSolo coming up. Do you keep a journal or anything like that?
No, I don't. My wife keeps, you know, pestering me to do that. Uh, but no, I don't. When I was in junior high school at Portland, in my creative writing class, I used to write funny stories. And I think the last story I wrote was about Toilet Man who drank toilet water and became a superhero, and my teacher, tore it up. And I guess it crushed me at that time. And I just never wrote again.
Wow. Well, get yourself a journal and start journaling. It's a wonderful process, especially for actors and writers and creative people. I highly
Yeah.
recommend. I've been keeping a journal since I was 15 years old. I have stacks of them. My daughter's like,
Wow.
"Mommy, what am I supposed to do with these when you're gone?" And I'm like, "I don't know.
Yeah.
Read
Yeah.
them."
Real. Make a movie out of it, huh?
I mean, whatever, But I've actually started rereading them, and it is
Oh,
amazing. Oh my God, it will take you back. Sometimes I'll start crying reading it, and then sometimes I just put it away because it's too much.
mhm.
And then there's other times it lets you know
Yeah.
how far you've come. It's a real beautiful testament of who you are and how you've grown and all the things that you've gone through. And as an
Right.
actor, I could see it as a very useful tool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I had a lot of stuff, but my second wife, see, I don't know, she just threw away all my stuff.
Okay.
She threw it away.
Well, when you are going through that separation thing, folks get crazy now.
Yeah,
That's
Well,
part of the process.
She was crazy before, during, and after. So.
Well, you married her, so what does that say
Yeah, I
about
know.
you?
Yeah, I did marry her, and the thing is, nobody in my family liked her, but me.
But you didn't listen,
So,
huh?
I
Yeah.
didn't. I should have. And she apologized, to me for the way she was when we were married. After, and we're friends.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I mean,
See how it works out?
yeah.
Sometimes
I mean,
people
we
are
have,
better apart than they are together.
yeah. And she's actually a poet and a children's book writer. So she's published and she sells her books in Sacramento. And my daughter, she does the illustrations.
Oh, nice. Oh, beautiful. So just that creative vibe is still there.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
Tiffany is also a poet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and her husband have a publishing company, so they publish their own books.
Wow.
Yeah, and get them out there. Yeah, so anyways, I actually have a podcast that I did on her husband, Brian Gorman, so I'll send that to you so you'll get to see it and where he talks about his publishing company. So,
Okay.
yeah, so if you have writings, maybe you can get published.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, again, I would like to thank you for taking out the time to be on Straight Talking with Kelly, where real conversations happen. And I hope you had a good time.
Well, thank you very much. I don't know what you're saying now because you're frozen again, but
That's funny because,
I see you.
yeah, okay, because I don't see me frozen. That's funny how I'm still moving on my end, but on your end, you see me frozen. Well, I said thank you for taking out the
Yeah.
time for being on Straight Talking with Kelly, where real conversations happen. And I do hope that you've enjoyed being here.
I sure have. And it's good seeing you. You don't look a day over 37 and a half.
That's about right. Not really. You know what? When I think about I have a 13-year-old granddaughter, I've earned my stripes, okay?
Uh, yeah, I
Happy to
know.
be alive. Happy to be alive.
My oldest grandson is 18.
Wow, okay, okay.
So I have eight grandchildren.
Dude, oh, that's beautiful. How many girls and how many boys?
Let's see. My son has 2 boys and 2 girls. One of my daughters has 1 son, and my stepdaughter has a girl and 2 boys. So that's 8.
I remember when all of your kids were first born and very little. So, in the simple fact that they're all grown and they got kids, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's amazing. Really amazing.
Yeah. Well, Sherlyn is 48 and D2 is 40, 41.
Okay, okay.
And then my
Well,
other daughter is 30 and then 28 and 20.
okay. Wow. Oh, see, now these last daughters, I didn't know anything about. The last
Yeah.
two.
So I have, 3.
Okay, okay. You've been busy. All righty. Well, we've
Yeah.
said goodbye 3 times on the show.
Okay. Well, we're going to say goodbye because I have to run too. I have to go to the theater. So.
All right. Well, good talking to you, and I will be in touch. All right.
You as
And
well.
thanks.
Give your best to your husband.
I will. And thank you again for being on the show. Bye bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.